What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a mid-fade on my boy, so stay tuned. We're gonna be starting off by creating our first guideline, contouring to his head shape with our gold FX. Man, guys, the reason why I haven't been uploading as frequently is because I lost my voice and I'm waiting on it to recover. It is slowly recovering, it's getting better, but it hasn't fully recovered yet. I'ma still, of course, try my best to daily upload as much as possible and stay as consistent as possible. Don't be afraid to stretch the skin with your opposite hand and move the ear out of the way if necessary. Before we create our second guideline, we're going to go ahead and debulk the sides with the 3 guard all the way open. We're also going to use the comb to feed the hair into the clipper. Now that we're done debulking the sides, we could go ahead and create our second guideline with our no guard all the way open. You usually want to make this guideline around 1 inch thick so you can spread the blend. We're then going to slightly close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to show some support and keep the channel running, go ahead and leave a donation down below or super thanks down below, or also go ahead and follow the Instagram down below. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. We're then going to use this same guard and its lever to soften up this line and get ready for the half guard. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 1 guard, we can move on to our half guard and erase the line completely. Always remember, when you're blending between guidelines, you always want to use your lever and your corners of the blade. Also, don't be afraid to use your opposite hand to stretch the skin and move the ear out of the way. Now that we're done with the lower guards, we can move on to our 2 guard all the way open and create our 4th guideline. This guideline is going to help us switch over to our 1.5 guard and blend in between the lines. Now that we're done setting up the guideline and then softening it, we can move on to our 1.5 guard and erasing completely. Sometimes after using your 1.5 guard, there's still a faint line, so switching over to your 1 guard all the way open and using its corners will definitely help erase it. Now we're moving on to our clipper over comb method, and we're going to make sure the hair is a little bit damp so it's easier to pick up with the comb. When using your clipper over comb, when you're using horizontal cuts, it's to debulk, and when you're using horizontal cuts, it's to blend, as you guys can see here. I'm also keeping the comb at a certain degree and a certain tilt, just to make sure it blends properly. Make sure to keep the angle consistent and try not to change it too much. Now we're going back to our previous guards to lighten up a few spots. When there's a lot of hair when you're doing your clipper over comb method, you always want to start off by debulking and then start blending. Now that we're done debulking with our horizontal cuts, we can begin blending with our vertical cuts. Now we're going to be attacking the darkness near the edge of the haircut with our 1 guard all the way open and our 1.5 guard. Using our clipper over comb method, we're going to go ahead and lighten up the front ridge area. Moving on to our gold FX, we're going to go ahead and line up the front line and start off at the edge. We want to keep the corners and vertical bars as natural as possible. We don't want to take it in too deep. Moving on to C-cups, we're going to use the corner of the blade to start off at the bottom and work our way to the top arch. Now that we're done lining up the C-cup, it revealed a few dark lines in the fade, so I'm going over my clipper over comb and I'm detailing as much as possible. Now that we're done with the sides, we can move on to the back and start off with our no guard all the way open. We're then going to slightly close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline. We are right underneath the occipital bone, so you want to make sure you spend more time here and are careful. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. As you guys can see, the hair was pretty long, so I had to use the comb to feed the hair into the clipper. Now we're right on top of the occipital bone, so you definitely want to make sure you detail. Now that we're done softening up the line with the one guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can move on to our two guard all the way open and create our fourth guideline. As you guys can see, I'm feeding the hair into the clipper using the comb. This guard is going to help us blend in with our 1.5 guard all the way open. Now that the line is soft enough, we can move on to the 1.5 guard and erase the line completely. Again, sometimes there's still a faint line after using your 1.5 guard, so switching over to your one guard all the way open and using its corners would definitely help. Now that we're done with our guard work, we can move on to our clipper oval comb method and debulk as much as possible. We're also going to create and finish off our silhouette. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to show some extra support, go ahead and hit up the Instagram. Now that we're done with the back side of the fade, we can move on to the other side of the hairline and pin up the hair. When you're using your trimmers to line up, you want to make sure you go slow enough that the hair feeds into the teeth of the trimmer, because if not, then the hair is going to shift and then you won't line them up properly. Now that we're done with the front line, we can move on to our shear work and create our first guideline through the top of the capitus. We're then going to connect this same guideline throughout the whole head and the sides. What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing guys a brand new video. We're going to be doing a mid fade with a pushback hairstyle on one of my clients, so stay tuned. We started off by saturating the hair and combing everything in place, making sure we have a nice and neat canvas. We're then going to separate the top from the sides and make sure everything's nice and neat. Now that we're done pinning the top, we're going to debulk the sides with the 3 guard all the way open. This is going to help us debulk our canvas and create our silhouette. As you can see, I'm feeding the hair into the clipper using my comb. Now that we're done debulking the sides, we're going to move on to our Goat FX and create our first guideline. We're also going to contour this guideline to the head shape so that the fade can flow better. Also, the reason why I debulked before using my trimmers to bald out is so that it doesn't jam my trimmers, because he did come in with a lot of hair. Now that we're done balding out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. You want to make this guideline around an inch thick so you can spread the blend. Once I'm done setting in that guideline, I'm going to slightly close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. As you can see in here, since the hair is long, I'm using my comb to feed the hair into the clipper. We're going to use this same guard and its lever to soften up this line and get ready for the half guard. Now that we're done softening up this line with the 1 guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to support the channel, go ahead and leave a super thanks down below or follow the Instagram. I'm going back to my previous guards with the 1 guard all the way open, and I'm going to detail as much as possible, especially using the lever. Now that we're done with the lower guards, we're going to move on to our 2 guard all the way open and create our 4th guideline. We're going to use this guard to soften up this line and get ready for the 1.5 guard. Now that we're done using the 2 guard, we can move on to the 1.5 guard and erase the line completely. Make sure to use your lever when using this guard. Sometimes after using this guard, there's still a faint line, so switching over to your 1 guard all the way open and using its corners will definitely help take it out. Now we're moving on to our 3 guard all the way open, and we're going to use our comb to feed the hair into the clipper, and we're going to use this to debulk and also complete our silhouette. Now I'm using the 2 guard all the way open, and then after this I'm going to switch over to the 1.5 guard. Now I'm going to make sure I grab some hair from the top so that it's easier to blend in. Now we're using our clipper over comb method, and we're using it horizontally to debulk. We're also going to make sure we pick up the hair at an angle. Now I'm bringing the hair over that's from the top, and I'm gonna blend it into the sides, making sure that there's no overhang that looks unnecessary and unneat. Now we're switching over to our thinning shears to make sure we thin out the overhang. Moving on to the sideburns, we're going to debulk going with the grain with the 1.5 guard all the way open. Now before we line up his C-cups, we're going to detail a little bit more and then line him up and then detail some more after. When I line up my C-cups, I always start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch using the corners of the blade. I'm also making sure I go slow enough that the hair feeds into the teeth of the trimmer, because if not, then the hair is going to shift and you won't line them up properly. Now we're going to use a little bit of shear work to make sure we cut the top evenly with the sides. When using your shears, you want to stay as consistent as possible with every cut, because if not, then it's going to be very uneven. Here I'm using my no guard all the way open to blend in my sideburns, and I'm also using my lever slightly closed. Now we're moving on to my 1 guard all the way open after using the no guard all the way open. Moving on to our shear work, we're going to start off with our first guideline in the top and then work our way to the sides. As you can see, I'm removing about 1.5 inches of hair because he did come in with a lot. We also want to make sure we cut at certain angles to make sure he gets a certain shape that he's looking for. As you can see here in the back, I'm cutting at a certain angle, and here I'm cutting at a certain angle just to make sure it could blend with the hair. Moving on to the back, we're going to use our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. Once we're done setting in that guideline, we're then going to slightly close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. Since the hair is a little bit longer, we're going to use our comb to feed the hair into the clipper. Now that we're done softening up this line, we're moving on to the half guard, and we're going to try to erase it completely using its lever and its corners. Now that I'm done with my lower guards, I'm going to move on to my 2 guard all the way open and feed the hair into the clipper using my comb. Using this guard and creating this guideline is going to help us connect into the 1.5 guard. After I was done using my shears a little bit on the sides, I switched over to my clipper of a comb and began to debulk, making everything as smooth as possible. Here I'm using my 3 guard all the way open and I'm getting ready for that clipper of a comb. When using your clipper of a comb, you want to make sure you cut at an angle, just like you're cutting at an angle with your shears. Moving on to the beard, we're going to debulk it with the 3 guard all the way open, going with the grain, and then line it up through the bottom using our Gold FX. Now that we're done lining up the beard, we can move on to the front line and separate his hair from the top. As you can see, there's a lot of uneven hairs that need to be cut and lined up. So I'm making sure I make an even part and I'm taking hairs that I do want to cut out. Now that we have a nice enough part, I'm going to switch over to my 1 guard all the way open and debulk the hairline. Now we're going to start off with our Gold FX in the middle and work our way to the sides. Of course, you always want to keep the vertical bars as natural as possible, so I'm making sure I don't go too in. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to support the channel, go ahead and leave a super thanks down below or follow the Instagram. As you can see, we're trying to match the other side as much as possible to the first side we lined up to. Man, I feel like it's looking crispy, man. Leave a comment down below if you feel like it's crispy. Now that we're done with the cut, we can move on to our Turkish razor and Durable Premium blades and make them as crispy as possible. You always want to make sure you keep the blade at a 45-degree angle and stretch the skin as much as possible with your opposite hand. This lowers the likelihood of you cutting someone. You also want to pay very high attention to this area.